My name is Roy Goode. I'm an emeritus professor of commercial law at the University of Oxford and also an emeritus fellow of St John's College, Oxford. Solicitor for 33 years, then moved to the bar. That was only because a friend of mine suggested it over a game of chess on a Sunday afternoon. He said, "Why don't you come to the bar?" I said, "What for?" He said, "It's fun." And being wit-willed, I said, "Okay." So I applied to join the bar. They were very nice to me. They let me off almost everything. I was let off. I didn't have to do the bar exams. I didn't have to do practical exercise. I didn't even have to do pupillage, which is very rare. So it took me, I think, 2.5 weeks to move from the solicitor's branch to the bar. I don't think it can be done any faster than that. And on my call night, I was junior to one of my own students by 5 minutes. I overtook him 2 years later when I was invited to take SOC and become a QC, then without my applying actually. So the Treasury paid the fee, not me. And that was unexpected too. And then I found myself in court. I had no intention of doing advocacy. I'm not the world's best advocate. So I get a consultation with my junior counsel, and they said, "We'd like you to advise the clients," solicitors, "on an appeal to the Court of Appeal." And they said, "We'd like you to appear in the Court of Appeal." My junior said, "Oh, I've never had a case in the Court of Appeal before." I said to him, I didn't say to him, I didn't dare tell him I'd never been in court before. So it was my first case in the Court of Appeal. Gee. Anyway, we won. And the rest of history. Yes. Queen Mary, I got to partly by accident, but I must say I fell in love with the college. Great place, lovely students, lovely colleagues. And while I was there, I set up various things. I set up the Centre for Commercial Law Studies, which is now thriving under my successors. I started a school of international arbitration with help from the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, now run by my friend Julian Liu, and set up also an Institute of Information Technology Law and an Institute of Intellectual Property Law. So various things were happening. When I first joined Queen Mary, I thought it's a very nice place. It had to compete, so far as law is concerned, with the law faculties in central London, King's College, University College, LSE, so on. And also, of course, the Institute of Advanced Legal Studies Library was near there. So we had to fight harder actually to get students, but we did, and we looked after them very well. I think that was the great thing. The student support was terrific. You know, we cared a lot for them. I like the students. I mean, I do like students anyway. They were hardworking, they were bright. They might occasionally be a bit cheeky, but actually, I actually thought they were very good. And so we had a very good rapport with the students. And I loved teaching, so that helped. I just remember it was very enjoyable because of the students and my colleagues, and because of their willingness to support new ventures. So when we started this, our department, the Centre for Commercial Law Studies, was actually rather anarchic, I would say. We did things no other department did. We were willing to take controlled risks. Sometimes it was disaster. We had a wonderful academic conference, but the timing was all wrong. We lost £6,000 on one conference. But the then bursar was a great guy. Yorkshireman, I think. He said, well, you win some, you lose some, you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs. He said, the English department came in a state of panic. They'd lost £200, and you're telling me we've lost 6,000. Anyway, we made it good the following year. 7,000, we got a surplus of £7,000, always put right. But we were unusual, and the college eventually said, these guys do seem to know what they're doing, so we were given a free hand, much freer than most departments, I think, and it's been like that ever since. Well, to my astonishment, first of all, I had this invitation, totally unexpected, to accept appointment as a fellow of the British Academy, and then I discovered that apparently I was the first Queen Mary professor to be elected a fellow of the British Academy. So I was very surprised at that, because they've had very distinguished people. So that was a nice thing to happen. First of all, even if you're going to be an academic lawyer, it is a very good thing to get some experience of practice, because you learn about the theory, but when you are dealing with problems of real life clients, you discover you don't actually know the law as well as you thought you did, because there are things always surfacing that don't appear in the textbooks, new things. You have to work your way around it. So that's one of the first things I would say. Try and get some involvement with practice, even if it's only as a consultant, because it really reinforces your knowledge of the law. First thing. And secondly, of course, you have to work hard. Preparation, my experience is that getting somewhere in law, it's 5% inspiration, 95% perspiration.